Well, the rural homeless are invading the cities. That's an interesting situation. That's what I want to talk about. Welcome to Integrative Preparedness. By the way, I'm Steve Smith. It's good to have you. Welcome to all the new people. We keep having a lot of new people join. By the way, people ask me, can I share your videos? Yes, please. Please share them with people that you think, should have watched them. I have no problem with you sharing them. And visit us, join us over on the Patreon channel. The link's down below if you want more. We get into more depth over there. I was perusing the news today, just going through the aggregators, and something popped up that drew my attention because it had to do with Lawrence, Kansas. Lawrence is about 40, 50 miles west of me here. And so anything that has to do with, I think it says something about Kansas homeless or something like that. Well, the gist of the article was the increase of rural homeless being essentially shipped to larger cities in Kansas. In this case, it was Lawrence, but it's also to Kansas City, Kansas, Topeka, things like that. And this presents a danger, not just to the people who live in the cities to which these people are being shipped, but it shows the increasing dangers in rural areas as well. The increase in rural homelessness has really been dramatic and surprising. It's the days of the idyllic small town. I'm afraid, and it's too bad, is a thing of the past. The rural areas that I've talked about before, and people who live rurally and in smaller towns have supported me in this, saying, yeah, you're exactly right. The problems, there had always been alcohol and things like that. For the most part, rural areas are less, the economics are a lot lower. The educational levels are a lot lower. The whole socioeconomic strata is different. Not different than the hood. I mean, there's places in the cities that are far worse than the rural areas. So I'm not making that comparison at all. But there have always been numbers of people in the rural areas that shall I say, were economically challenged. Okay, and this results in criminal behavior, aberrant behavior, single family, single parent households, alcohol abuse, drug abuse, everything like that. Drug abuse has exploded in the rural areas, as has mental health problems. And the two often go together because when they go to the homeless, they find out that those with mental health problems, very often are also substance abusers. Not very often, almost always. Okay. So the two come together. Well, the situation that's going on now is that it's getting so bad in so many of the rural areas that the cities, the small towns, and the counties just aren't able to deal with it. Okay, they don't have mental health facilities. They can't stick these people in their jails, and feed them forever. And many of these counties have populations of less than some large neighborhoods, right, in the suburbs or the cities. And so they just don't have the resources. Well, what happens is, in many cases, like they talked about in this article, and I know it to be true from the past, a lot of times they will drive these people to the county line and drop them off. And now it's another county's problem, or now it's another little town's problem. These people, they're going to survive, so they end up stealing, they end up attacking people, and the wave just keeps going. In one case that they talked about here, in Lawrence, Kansas, a bar owner said a young woman walked into the bar, asked to use their bathroom, and said, sure, fine, and said that she had been that she'd been not arrested, but she'd been grabbed by the authorities in liberal Kansas, given a bus ticket to Lawrence. So see, the smaller areas are kind of dumping their problems mental health problems, homeless problems, all that, into the large cities. I'm not blaming the smaller areas for doing that. They have to do something, okay? But it is simply, the cities already have big problems, and this is just exacerbating it. When you think about what's coming across our southern border, these people are being dumped into the country. Many of them end up essentially homeless if they're not put up in a fancy hotel by the government. We had to have another story that supports, and the homeless population is becoming ever more violent. That's the issue, and it's spilling out. It's spilling out of the cities now. Back in the old days, we had the hobo camps, the hobo jungles, most of them down under bridges by the river. And it was fairly organized. You didn't see homeless people outside the downtown area, and you'd see them walking around, during the day and panhandling and scrounging and things like that. And then at night, they'd go back to the jungle, and they were very interesting places. If you've never been in a hobo jungle, I don't suggest you go, but see if you can find a YouTube on it. That would be a better way to see it. So, but the homeless people are becoming increasingly violent, and many of them now are carrying weapons. Interestingly, we had to have my son's car towed. He broke down and late at night coming out of downtown Kansas City just a few days ago, and had to call a tow truck. And the guy got out there. It was a very dangerous area, and of course my son called me. I got down there. Everything cool. Tow truck driver says, "Man, this is a bad spot." He says, talking about the expansion of the homeless. He said, a lot of times, you leave a car on the highway, you'll come back and everything will be gone, windows busted out and things like that. He says they think that it's kids, but it's not. It's the homeless. They see a car at the side of the road, nobody around. They're going to break in. They're going to take everything. They're going to look for guns. They're going to look for also, whatever's in there. He said he had a guy walk up on him. He was hooking up a car, and this dude was a big guy. He looked very capable, and this homeless guy was kind of scrounging, come walking up on him and asked him if he had $5, and he said no. And the guy pulled a gun out of his pocket and said, "Do you have $5 now?" So the homeless situation is becoming far more dangerous. It's also spreading out of the cities. I live in a very nice area in a suburb far from downtown, and we have people holding signs on every street corner, out of work, God bless, family needs help, all this, and that most of these are cons, right? I'm not going to say all are. There might be some that are legit, but it's almost like an organized thing. What is it? Who was that ran all the beggars in London? One of Charles Dickens. Anyway, I'm getting out of my area of knowledge here. And we have a lot of homeless. When I was at the hospital, we were always surprised, and especially when really cold weather hits, how many homeless are living in the green areas, in the wooded areas, under bridges, down by the creeks, throughout suburbia, in very rich areas, to be honest. It's very surprising, very surprising. Well, they come out here because this is where the money is, and people will give it to them. People feel badly. They stand on a corner with a sign, and people feel guilty. They feel badly, and I'm not one of those people to say that you shouldn't give them something. Everybody has their own idea on that, so I'm not taking a position on that. But it is getting dangerous. How we deal with this. So this isn't really it's a preparedness message in that make sure you prepare to protect yourself. Wherever you are, you might live in a very nice neighborhood, but you have to go through a downtown. My son was very smart. He's putting together he's always had an emergency bag, but he's only 17, so he doesn't have a weapon in the car. Well, he doesn't have a firearm in the car. I'll put it that way. But you might find yourself, car trouble coming through town. You don't know what's going to come up on you. Too many people, they have car trouble. They get on their phone, which you should. In some areas, you can call 911. This happened to be in Kansas City, Missouri. You can call 911, and they'll send you over to their motorist assist. They call it the Scout program, and they'll get somebody there. And while we were waiting for our tow truck, we had one of their people come by. We had a KCMO police officer come by and stand with us for a while. I didn't feel that I needed it, but I didn't say that to him. He was a good guy doing his job, right? So you may be stranded. Make sure that wherever you might be stranded, and pretty much everybody has to, for whatever reason, go to areas that are less safe than where they live. And if you live in one of these unsafe areas, I'd suggest you move. But make sure that you're able to protect yourself while you're there during an emergency. This is where having a JIC bag, having your weapon, having everything comes into play. But realize that those people that were usually, not always, but usually seen as kind of harmless, the hobos, the homeless, the this and the that, they're not what they used to be. There's plenty of them out there with guns and cell phones, just looking for the next little fish to come swimming through their ocean. Okay. You know what I forgot to say on the last one, but I should say here, in case we have any new people here that may not be aware of it, this and all my videos are brought to you by our sponsor, the Stonemont series. My series of books, 6 novels, The Reversion, The Revival, The Renewal, An Appeal to Heaven, The Blessings of Freedom, and Hostages to Fortune. They are the complete guide and plan to preparing for, surviving, and rebuilding after a complete collapse of everything. I just had somebody. No, I'll save that for another time. But if you're serious about preparedness and you haven't read these, I suggest this be the next thing you do. You can get them either through Amazon or directly from me, signed, autographed, through our website, stonemont.us, and the links for both of those are down there. So keep in mind, there are no safe places. Wherever you go, the threats are increasing. Be ready for it. And like we say, we prepare well today in order to live well tomorrow. So prepare well today so you can live well tomorrow, okay? You all have a good day, and I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.